Today we have invited once again Mr. Sanji Caldera from Sanji Caldera Associates, one of the main Sri Lankan migration agents in Australia. Now, first of all, we would like to welcome back Sanji to Sri Lanka Morning Show program.
Thank you, Tishara.
Sanji, now today we thought that we should discuss one of the major topic that most of our viewers wanted to know, that is a recently introduced one of the visa categories, subclass 870, which is the sponsored parental visa. So can you please tell us about this subclass 870 visa? What is it about, and what are the requirements for that?
Yes, Shara, it is a very good initiative by the department. Once again, I have to admit, we have many young families in Australia, and they start a family, and what happens is that childcare cost is so high in Australia, and sometimes the mother has to stay at home, and this is a visa we commonly also known as grandparents visa, but it's not so. It is the subclass 870. You could get your parents to spend up to 5 years and perhaps another 5 years in Australia. It is a form of a tourist visa, an extended tourist visa, which gives certainty to the permanent residents and citizens who have a young family to spend more time. Not that they have to have children, but mainly the permanent residents and citizens, when they have a young family, they do get their parents to come and spend time and with the grandchildren and with them for a longer period of time, where a tourist visa can be only up to 1 year.
Right. So now with this parental visa, as you said, that it can be extended for another 5 years. Can they extend that while they are in Australia? Oh,
yes, they can. It is of blocks of 3 years plus 3 years, or 5 years plus 5 years, depending on their requirement.
Right. Now, if a young family wants to bring their parents from both sides, are they allowed to bring their parents from both sides? So
yes, they can. This particular visa has an income test, and the income test is where your taxable income needs to be 83,500, and they have various ways of looking at it. You can have shared it between your parent, whoever the sponsor who is in Australia, and with their spouse, they can have a combined income and sponsor their parents, and they could sponsor the other party's parents also on this particular visa, but it is income tested.
Right. Okay. Now, what are the benefits, specific benefits that the parents will get through this visa?
The main benefits, of course, is the parents can spend a longer time with their children and their grandchildren, if they do have, and have that connection, and especially in their younger days, they spend quite a lot of time with. But it's something that it's a very, very important visa for especially the young families. I'll go to the extent of saying that specifically at the time where child care cost is so high, and if you have your own parents looking after your children, so that mom and dad can go out and work, and they will have more disposable income.
Yes.
So it's a winner all over for the parents, for the grandchildren if it's applicable, or their children, and the government saving quite a bit of money on childcare cost and rebates and so forth.
Right. So can you talk about the visa processing time frame and the cost of this visa category?
Yes, it is in two sections. You need to first lodge a sponsorship application, and the department will assess whether that sponsor meets the criteria, has the necessary criteria in relation to their income and their background. And once the sponsorship is approved, then only the parent can apply for the visa. And if they're applying for 3 years, it's $5,000. And if they're applying for 5 years, it's $10,000. However, it is broken up. At the time of the visa application, it's $1,000. And if your visa is going to be approved, then you pay the balance $9,000. That will entitle them to come here and spend 5 years with multiple travel, of course. Yes.
Now, Sanji, now with this visa, so you said that it can be extended for another 5 years, or altogether 10 years. Can't they apply directly for a parent visa?
Good question, Tushar. They can. One of the main criteria to apply as a parent, to sponsor your parent to come to Australia as a permanent resident, is that there is a test called balance of family test. What it simply means is 50% or more family should be in Australia. So if a parent has 2 children, at least one child should be a permanent resident or citizen settled in Australia. Now, for this particular visa that we are talking about, the 870 visa, that requirement is not there.
Right.
So long as you can meet the income test and the other criteria, they can sponsor their parent. But remember, it is not a permanent resident visa, but a sort of a long term, and 5 years plus 5 years, that's a long time. 10 years they could stay.
Right. Now, after 10 years, is there any option for them to extend that, or how it works? Like if they wanted to come back to visit their children and grandchildren, how can they apply?
Yes, there are some restrictions whilst you're on the 870 visa, whether you could apply for a parent visa. But certainly when it comes to an end, and again, if you meet the balance of family test, there are many parent visa options. We call it the non-paid, in the sense that takes a long time for their visas to get approved. And we have also the contributory parent visa, which now takes about 5 years. But most importantly, the difference is that for parent visas, you must meet the balance of family test. So if you have 3 children in the family, 2 must live in Australia. And they must be permanent residents or citizens.
Thank you very much for sharing very valuable information with our viewers. I think our viewers got very good facts relating to sponsored parental visa category today. Sanji, thank you so much for sharing this information with us. Now, I know our viewers may have a lot of other specific information that that they need to ask from you. So if that is the case, how they can contact you?
Yes, thank you. Welcome. It was a pleasure saying and informing about the 870 visa. But they could visit my website, and there will be many options, either to contact me through an email or make a telephone call and make an appointment, both in Melbourne, and if their parents want to talk about it, they could visit either my Colombo or Dubai offices.
Thank you so much for joining us, and looking forward to have you once again in Sri Lanka Morning Show program.
Thank you once again, Tushar.